There we are. Hey, good morning. Sorry about that. Forgot to hit the mic. This is the February 2nd morning devotion with me, Bo Willette. These are my devotions, my time in the Word in the morning, just to get kind of going. And I get to air them out, and you guys get to join me, which is so cool. So it's great having you guys in the comment corner already. I see on Facebook, Casey and Paula is with me. And we're kind of talking about how it rained so much last night. And that's awesome. I mean, that is some good stuff. We need the rain, and when I was up in Flagstaff, we certainly need the snow up there. So glad we're getting that. And hey, February 2nd, gosh, second month of 2024, and it's almost Christmas. No, not quite yet, but we're getting there. We're going to be in Proverbs 10 today. And you could always check out the archives of the devotions at my YouTube channel, Bo Willette. And just put in that name in the search bar, and you should come up with it. You could also, if you want to subscribe to it, you can, and that way you just get the new devotions as they come through. So I go through the Bible in my devotions. I just walk through it and kind of pick it apart a little bit. And that's kind of what I've done for a long time now, probably a good 35 years or so. And it's awesome. Learned so much about it. So I had a wonderful late night, real late night with our young people's crew, if you will, at my home fellowship, me and Sylvia's home fellowship here. And we do that every other Thursday, and that was awesome, man. But I definitely, getting a little older, right? The body just doesn't bounce back like it used to, So it's funny. Paula says, time just flies by the older we get. And that's true. So true. So let's get into Proverbs 10. Let's see what this wisdom literature says. So the Proverbs of Solomon. A wise child brings joy to a father. A foolish child brings grief to a mother. I've definitely done both, in life. But it's good for me in the morning here to reflect a little bit about, what do I bring to people's lives? That's been in the Proverbs before. What do I bring to other people's lives? Do I bring joy? Do I bring grief? Maybe a little bit of both. But it's good to think about that, how my actions really, reflect on other people. And it says, tainted wealth has no lasting value, but right living can save your life. Getting wealth the wrong way, it doesn't have lasting value. It might help us maybe in this life, but certainly not in the life to come. It says, but right living can save your life. So the Proverbs are always telling us that there is a right way to live. And this is something that everybody knows, but people argue about all the time, right? I don't think that, your way is not my way. I can do it my way. You can do it. But everybody constructs a rule book, right? Of what is their right and what is their wrong. So even in my young days of doing my thing, right? Hanging out with friends and going different places, even though it seemed like we were doing whatever, we had our own set of rule books of what was, appropriate, so to speak, and what wasn't, what was allowed. And you kind of have to find out what those rule books are, in your peer groups. And so everybody does that. But the Bible says that it is the right authority on what is the right way to live. So that's its claim. But it's not the only source that is making that claim. So if you get mad at the Bible, then you have to get mad at everybody, because everybody has a source or a rule book, right, that they're going off of. Might be in their brain, might be someone else's rule book, but they're going off of something. But, certainly right living can save your life, right? Reckless living, when you're reckless, that's when it doesn't go well. The Lord will not let the godly go hungry, but refuses to satisfy the craving of the wicked. Kind of this idea of God blessing and God withholding. That God has a blessing and God has, a curse. And this is a theme that's in the Jewish law, right? What we read in Deuteronomy, the blessings and the cursings for Israel. Hey man, blessed are you if you follow me, but boy, cursed are you if you walk away and just go a different route. So we see that in the proverb literature as well, that idea of blessing and cursing throughout it. That would be very familiar, that's the word I'm looking for, to the Hebrew nation, and from them knowing the law. Lazy people are soon poor. Hard workers get rich. Hey, am I a person who's a lazy, or am I a hardworking person? Do I really put in the effort? A wise youth harvests in the summer, but one who sleeps during the harvest is a disgrace. Right? Someone who's just like totally rolling over when they should be out there doing what needs to be done. It's funny. We all have weeds in the areas we live in, right? Weeds just tend to pop up. And if you keep letting them pop up, man, it can get overwhelming, right? Where you just go, man, I got tons of weeds, right? But if you take it, day by day, or, week by week, you just take a little at a time, pretty soon you got them kind of manageable, right? But it takes that little bit of effort, that time, instead of letting it all get too crazy, right? So, but a wise youth, they know how to harvest, right? You want to make money, you want to get doing well financially, well then kind of, get at it, right? When it's time to get at it. There are times and weeks and months where it gets really busy. And, how's my heart with that? Am I okay with that? That there's going to be months and weeks that are, if you will, going to need that extra effort. But it really produces a good fruit. It says, the godly are showered with blessings. The words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. Violent intentions. Is that what I have in my mind? Intentions that are not good. Again, something to think about. We have happy memories of the godly, but the name of the wicked person rots away. So we see a lot of the, righteous and the wicked here. The wise are glad to be instructed, but babbling fools fall flat on their faces. Instruction, just giving heed to wisdom, giving heed to that beautiful, beautiful wisdom, right? That was there when the world was created, all that we read about. People with integrity walk safely, but those who follow crooked paths will slip and fall. That's good. Walking in integrity. And that's something I always think about in my life. I think of the word sincere in the New Testament, which means without wax. Wax was used to repair a busted piece of pottery. It had a little crack in it. And they would put a little wax in that to make, and then, paint over it, but make it so, you couldn't tell that it had a breach in the original, mold. So, sincere means without wax, without that crack, and I go, wow, man, that's a cool life without a crack, Do I have that kind of real kind of honesty, in life? Or that real, here is a man without guile, kind of behavior. And that's something I think we all need to work on in our lives, right? Our integrity. But there is a safety with integrity, right? There is like a security with it. It says people who wink at wrong cause trouble, but a bold reproof promotes peace. So, hey, nothing's wrong with boldly reproving someone. It can really correct an error and move us into the area of peace. So confrontation might be needed, right? Don't wink, it says, at wrong. That's not good, right? Don't just treat it as, trivial, I guess, right? Be bold. And boy, do we need boldness nowadays, right? Not to be harsh, but to lovingly correct, right? The words of the godly are life-giving fountain, but the words of the wicked conceal violent intentions. Again, am I life-giving? Do I tear down? Do I cause grief? You can see how these kind of repeat, right? These kind of similar ideas of what do I bring? Do I bring grief or do I bring joy? How do I help or do I, burden? It says, hatred stirs up quarrels, but love makes up for all offenses. Am I stirring up a quarrel? Is that what I do? Is love compelling me to make up for all offenses? Is that my heart? Or do I want to hold a grudge? Or do I want to hold resentment? That kind of thing. So it's a good word. Love makes up for all offenses. Wow, that's pretty cool. What's my love like? Am I making up for all offenses? Do I know how to forgive? But hatred just continues to stir up quarrels, right? If I'm hanging out with a bunch of people, even if they're in my family, and they're just stirring up quarrels, just keep burdening you, stirring up quarrels. Not good. So, wise words come from the lips of people with understanding, but those lacking sense will be beaten with a rod. Ooh, when the authorities come in and handcuff you. Not good, right? Lacking sense. That just doesn't make good sense. Don't do it, But we, as humans, we tend to go there sometimes, right? Sometimes a lot. We tend to go there. What doesn't make sense. I think growing up, a lot of times you're just learning kind of, those kind of things. You're doing things that don't make much sense, right? And we're just not thinking about it. And we don't have a good kind of perspective when we're growing up a lot. We lack sense. But it talks about doing things really where you get beaten with a rod. And that sounds pretty like an authority figure, right? Like you do get handcuffed. Something happens. You go to jail now. Drinking and driving, doesn't make sense. Don't do it, right? That kind of thing. Wise people treasure knowledge, but the babbling of a fool invites disaster. Treasuring knowledge. That's something that takes some real time to not only read or to listen, but to really contemplate and think through ideas and thoughts, So treasuring knowledge is a good thing. Thinking about things, learning about things, it's very good. But someone who just babbles to babble, right? Just talks to talk. And I can tend to go that route at times where I have to just back off and go, I just don't know much about that subject. So it says, the wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their destruction. I think Bob Marley has that in a song. So, the wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their destruction. So true. That's just a truism, right? Those that they have a big fortress. They have protection, right? Those that are in poverty, right? That poverty, right, is their downfall, their destruction, their vulnerability. The earnings of the godly enhance their lives, but evil people squander their money on sin. What do I do with my money? Right? Gosh, how do I invest it properly? And do I squander it? Do I just waste it on different things? Do I have a budget so I kind of know where my money's going? That I can really look at it and go, oh, I see kind of where I spend money and where I don't, or do I squander it? So that's a good one too, just when it comes to our own personal investments and finances and stuff like that. So I like that. Let's see. Let's go on. Now, let's see, where am I at? Okay, verse 17. That's where I'm at right now. It says, people who accept discipline are on the pathway to life, but those who ignore correction will go astray. So discipline, how much do I love discipline and being corrected? That's kind of a good question too, right? Because the Proverbs says it's really a pathway to life, right? Those who accept discipline. So that's, I guess, the idea there in the, this morning is, do I accept discipline? Or do I reject discipline? In order to play a sport, or do anything, play guitar, or whatever you like to do, it takes discipline to do it. And you have to learn to like the discipline, to know that it's really doing something, that it's producing something good in you. And if you understand that, then you can look at that in relationship to God and go, hey, God is, working in my life to make me better, to make me more like Christ. And that's what the New Testament's teaching, right? Is that we are being made into the image of the Son of Jesus. That's what God is doing. He's bringing us into that image of his Son and making us whole, holy. You might have heard the word holy. Just think of whole, right? And Jesus says, come to me, all who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest, right? Take my yoke upon you, for it is easy, right? Come to me. I'm going to make you guys whole, And when you think of the word whole, just think of the word holy. And so accepting discipline, that's something that really I have to wrestle with in my heart and go, hey, do I really accept this, or am I fighting it? Ugh. We've done that before. Hiding hatred makes you a liar. Hiding hatred makes you a liar. Slandering others make you a fool. Ooh, don't slander others, right? Are you talking about others? When you're in your group, when you're around your peers, are you talking about other people? And, hiding your hatred makes you a liar, right? And it's a sinful attitude, meaning you don't really like that person, right? And what you do is you slander. Instead of getting with that person and sitting down and talking to them, you just slander them. And that's something that we all need help with. We all, if we are not going to be loving enough to call the person or to have a meeting with that person and sit down with them, then we shouldn't, be just ripping them, we shouldn't just be having these long talks about them. Hey, we might not like what someone did, and that's understandable. Nothing's wrong with verbalizing that. Hey, I don't like what happened. But I'm going to have to let that go, right? But if it keeps bothering me and bothering me and bothering me forever, where I'm not praying for that person, I'm not, lovingly thinking about that person, I don't want the best for that person anymore, then, man, I got something going on. And either I got to deal with that with the Lord, and if I don't deal with that properly with the Lord, it's just going to keep festering in my life and create a yucky resentment and bitterness. is going to take root. And then you get to this area where you start slandering others. I don't want to slander anybody. Gosh, sure, we all get hurt at times, and man, yeah, we don't have to like it, and we can find a safe place, put up your boundaries, that kind of thing. But hiding hatred, hey, don't hide it. Just come to the Lord. Lord, I'm struggling with this person. Lord, touch my heart. Help me to love them, right? What did we just read about hatred stirs up quarrels, but love makes up for all offenses? We just read that in verse 12, right? Hatred stirs up quarrels, but love, right, makes up for all offenses, covers a multitude of sins. Ooh, man, that sounds like a New Testament verse. Where do they get it from in the New Testament? The Old. That's right. So too much talk leads to sin, but be sensible and keep your mouth shut. Hey, remember, Solomon is talking to his kids. This is something to listen to, right? To his son. Don't talk too much. Don't just babble away. Very good. The words of the godly are like sterling silver. The heart of the fool is worthless. The words of the godly encourage many, but fools are destroyed by their lack of common sense. Again, common sense. The blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Isn't it nice to gain wealth, but gain it the right way, right? Man, what a blessing that is to gain wealth and gain it the right way. Man, that's something really to think about too. How we earn our money. It's always a real interesting idea, just because our world is so interesting of a place, right? We have all kinds of businesses, and they all want to profit, and we realize we're in that kind of a world, that it sometimes is a dog-eat-dog kind of world, very difficult to live in. But instead of, going out and selling crack or doing, the stuff, getting money the wrong way, learning how to maybe take less money, but do it the right way. Maybe that's the right thing to do. So I like how it says the blessing of the Lord makes a person rich. Not just financially, but I think in their just life, just rich in general. Rich in emotion, rich of mind, rich in relationships. And he has no sorrow with it. There's no kind of regret there. Doing wrong is fun for a fool, but living wisely brings pleasure to the sensible. Yeah. I definitely relate to that growing up. Doing wrong is fun for a fool. Yeah, I'm definitely a fool. Definitely need saving. The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. The hopes of the godly will be granted. That's a scary verse, right? But so true. The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. It's funny when you do fear, especially knowing all the things you're doing wrong, it comes to pass. We know we're doing the wrong thing. I remember, doing like I'd take buy sunglasses and then at a cheap place, and then go to a department store and return them for more money and stuff. I know, wrong stuff. I know I'm omitting some of those teenage years stuff, they're just really wrong things, but there was always that fear of the wicked in my heart, that I'm going to be found out. They're going to catch me. Sure enough, that's how it goes, right? The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled. Oh, yeah. But the hopes of the godly will be granted. The hopes of the godly. What is my hope? Gosh, my hope is one day people would live at peace. They know the Prince of Peace. That our world would be a better place. that our relationships would be mended and reconciled. God's going to grant that one day when we're all together. He's going to make all things new. Whew. Boy, that's awesome. When the storms of life come, the wicked are whirled away, but the godly have a lasting foundation. That's right. We have a lasting foundation in the Lord, right? Something secure where maybe other people have to freak out over everything, but we know what's going on. We got a pretty amazing book, collection of books, that is. And it tells us what the future holds. So that's pretty cool. We can read it and we kind of know what's going on. See, the Bible says that these people, Israel, are going to be taken captive, and they're going to go into all the lands of the world. And then they're going to one day return to that land. And when they're back in that land, they will one day have a spiritual revival. But it's going to be through a massive trial with people around them hating them, and the world being very having a lot of hate towards Israel. That's what this book says anyway. And what's weird is that's what we see in the world. That's what's happened, and that's what's happening now. So, pretty cool, right? And it says, let's see. Verse 27, fear of the Lord lengthens one's life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. Just that basic principle. If you live recklessly, life gets cut short. And boy, we all growing up, don't you remember your friends in high school maybe that died? And man, how they died, maybe at a party, and then they get on their motorcycle or do different things, right? And just some real tragic events that take place in a lot of our lives, right? Where we kind of learn some tough lessons growing up about living recklessly. The hopes of the godly result in happiness, but the expectation of the wicked come to nothing. The way of the Lord is a stronghold to those with integrity. That's cool. The way of the Lord is a stronghold. I mean, it's good, And it says with those with integrity, but it destroys the wicked. It says the godly will never be disturbed, but the wicked will be removed from the land. The mouth of the godly person gives wise advice, but the tongue that deceives will be cut off. So it deals with the mouth again, deals with the way we talk, deals with verse 30, deals with, the idea that, God blesses again those that are trusting in Him. He will not remove them from the land. It's interesting, right? Because Israel got removed from the land, and it's because they were wicked. That's right. The heroes of the Bible, the Hebrews, right? They failed. But one day they were going to get it right. And it says it, when they do get it right, it is going to be a resurrection event. Amazing. Unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so very cool. And let's see, the last one. It says, the lips of the godly speak helpful words, but the mouth of the wicked speak perverse words. So again, what comes out of my mouth? Out of the abundance of the heart, the what? Out of the abundance of the heart, the what? The mouth speaks, right? That's right. So sometimes we could just see the way we talk and see what's going on in our hearts, right? Whether it's bitterness or anger or resentments or discontentments or, fear and insecurities, it kind of flows out of us pretty good. So a lot of good stuff in the Proverbs 10. You could see how they kind of have themes to them, but they kind of jump around a little bit, right? And give just basic principles of life. But they might hone in a little bit on a particular subject, like speech, like the way we talk, and that might be something. The one who, finds hope in God, that when their hope is in God, there's a security to that. Makes sense. God's the deity. He's the stronger. So, He's the better. If you put your hope in a person, there's going to be a limit to that because a person fails, right? Their heart fails, their body fails. They can only help you so much. But so you see those kind of themes in this Proverbs. You can see how it went from the Proverbs now went from kind of a almost like a chapter theme. Now they start just going individually into principles, right? So you see that change as well now. So you guys have a great day. Enjoy it. maybe read this one again and just focus a little bit more on it. So we'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.